Longa Mabuso. If I'm saying that correctly, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Well, how are you today?
Um, a lot of feelings. I'm excited, a bit overwhelmed, but generally good.
Well, why are you overwhelmed?
I just have a lot going on. There's a lot of deadlines that we need to catch soon.
I like that
Um,
phrase. That's nice.
yeah, yeah, it's a good kind of overwhelm, not a bad one.
That's good.
It's just kind of balancing everything, like I'm trying to do all of my work as much as I can
Yeah.
and still keep my life in order. I had to take my puppy for a walk,
What kind of dog you
and
got?
still have got a little
Yeah.
puppy.
That's, oh, hey, puppy.
I want to be in the interview.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's jump right into it. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with us and have this interview. We really appreciate it here at Ground Sounds.
Cool, man.
So the first question I always like to start off with everybody is, what got you to be a musician? What got you into music? Maybe what were some inspirations that came along, some artists or some people that you tried to maybe be similar to?
I think for me, music began with my parents. My mom and dad were both singers, but they sang choral music, which is like more choir competitions here in South Africa. Um, and I grew up sitting in rehearsals, listening to them. In Soweto, sitting at the back of the hall and watching them rehearse. And even at those choir competitions, I would sit there and just crave to be on that stage. Before I even discovered my own voice, I was already drawn to the music, and it has to be my parents and the music that they were singing, but also the music that they played in the house.
So what kind of music did they typically play growing up?
I grew up on a lot of jazz and soul music.
Okay.
I grew up listening to some South African musicians like Kaifa Semenya and Letambulu, who have worked with Harry Belafonte and some artists overseas. But I grew up also on musicians like Donny Hathaway, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston. I heard a lot of that music growing up. Um, and that had a huge influence on the type of music that I create. But I also think just my music education is what helped me so much in my journey in music. I studied classical music. In high school, I went to what I think you guys would call a magnet school. I went to an art school where I did classical music here, and I also went on to university where I studied jazz.
That's awesome. I don't. I'm honestly not familiar with the magnet school. Maybe I am not educated enough.
In a magnet school, and I was like, surely it's an art school, just an art. It's high school, but
Okay.
it's just art is incorporated into it.
Okay. Yeah. It that kind of seems more like a kind of like the art colleges that we have here that are more focused. We have a couple that are similar to that.
Yeah, high school.
I don't, high school wise, I am not sure. I know we have like career centers that you can go instead of high school, but I'm
Oh,
not sure if those career centers offer music. So I mean, that's something that I know would be that would be interesting to kind of learn just America side to see how we like if we incorporate similar aspects at a lower level, I guess.
I would think you do because the entire idea of art school for me came from the movie Fame. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
when I watched the movie
Yeah.
Fame, I was like, oh my God, I want to be at a school like that, where you spend your day doing your academics, but there's still 2 hours of the day. I think there's a part in the monologue in the beginning where she says, uh, you'll come to the school where you'll focus on your academics and do just as well as you do in your art. You'll dedicate yourself. And basically, that's what the type of school I went to is that we had our academics, your math, your English, and sciences, but we really focused a lot on our art subjects as well. So they offered music, dance, art, as well as drama. So a lot of the dance students were ballet students or contemporary students. The drama students were all kind of theater students. The music students were either contemporary music or classical music. And the art where it was basically fine art. And I think when you get to what you guys call senior phase of your high school career, they would then decide to specialize whether in photography, painting, drawing, all of those kinds of things. And this was all just high school, you know.
That sounds like such a creative space. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah. It was great. It was great. So if you watch the movie Fame, that's exactly the type of high school I went to.
I have seen the movie Fame, and so that's a great like image just to imagine there. Like
yeah. So that's exactly the type of high school I went to. Charlize Theron actually went to that school as well.
what? Okay, that's cool to know. So you both did you like run into each other at all? Did you like know like kind of were you friends?
She's older than me. She's way older than me.
Oh, okay. It was
Yeah,
one of those things after you came in after.
she was in the school in the 90s. And while she was at the school, she was a ballet student.
That's cool. That's cool. So let's go. Let's kind of go back to you as an artist a little bit more. So coming up and getting into that being in that artist and like trying to break in. What were some of the struggles that maybe you went through? Maybe some of what the naysayers were saying to you and stuff like that that you had to go through before you kind of took off as an artist.
I think for me, the biggest struggle with the music industry here in South Africa specifically was really finding the right kind of support to create the kind of music that I wanted to create. Specifically, like finding the resources to get into a studio setting and create as freely as I can without having to hold a day job and then go to studio, that kind of thing. I think the hardest part was also I would say, a lot of people in the South African music industry kind of felt like R&B was not something, R&B and soul was not the kind of genre that was growing or coming back in a sense. But I think a lot of the new school artists have shown that there's a resurgence of the sound, and we're kind of paving our own way as we go, as with many genres that kind of go away and come back. And yeah, so those were some of the challenges, just the resources, to create. I used to work for an agency, and I would save my paycheck, and then I would go to studio, or I'd call a friend who had a bedroom studio, and I'd be like, "Yo, man, can I come in on one of the days of the week and just record, as much as I could?" And yeah, those were some of the challenges more than anything. But I think we've definitely gotten past a lot of them. Even with the resurgence of the genre, we've seen some South African musicians get signed to labels in America, in the UK, and really start to garner support that was really missed for a long time.
That's awesome, especially just being able to have to fight for that studio time. I know that's kind of one of the biggest things that a lot of artists have trouble with, is just having that studio they're able to get to. So kind of now being where you are, and you've got your debut EP that came out in 2016, and Liminal Sketches, correct?
Yeah.
And what was that kind of time period like? Like how was 2016 for you when it was coming out? When it did come out, like what were you experiencing? What were you feeling during that time?
Oh man, that feels like a long time ago now. I started writing Liminal Sketches in 2012, when my high school love, the love of my life, my first love, when he died. I was really just broken, man. Like I really needed a way to really to let go of certain emotions and really to understand the journey of healing that I was on. I just 2016, I just moved back to Johannesburg from Cape Town, and I started recording in the beginning of that year, and I just come out of like a really deep depression, and I was home, really surrounded by family and just the kind of support system that I needed for a long time. And just that year was really tough, but it was the beginning of a journey toward the kind of life that I wanted to lead. You know, I wanted to be a musician who would create music that captures the kind of emotions that people feel about love, whether it's the yearning for it, the pain of it, or the joy of it. You know, I wanted the music to reflect healing. I wanted it to really just capture people in a way, you know, because I felt like me opening up myself about my truth and my life would help so many other people, but in turn also allow me to share some of my heart, you know, because I knew I was in a very transitional phase, you know, and that's why I called it Liminal Sketches, because I wanted it to be clear that that was not a permanent place for me. It was a thing that I was going through that was uh, going to end soon, you know. So it was hard, you know, just being a young new musician coming from university, where I was studying jazz, trying to figure out my way, you know, because I'd worked as a session musician before, and I used to do a lot of corporate gigs in South Africa, which is like you kind of sing covers a lot, uh, and you perform just like for a lot of corporates, I guess. But I wasn't really in the mainstream yet, you know, and just fighting to be heard and to be seen was a thing that I was going through. Um, and I just used social media to my advantage. You know, I had a lot of friends who were popular on Instagram and on Twitter, and I just asked them, I said, yo, I'm releasing music. Would you just repost or share, um, post it on your Snapchat or whatever? We were still like heavy on Snapchat. I think we had just gotten Insta stories in 2016, I think. Um, so yeah, it was a year of really like fighting for my place and really wanting to be seen and to be heard. Um, and it eventually happened, you know, when I met Black Coffee, who's a renowned world DJ from South Africa, and he signed me. That was kind of the beginning of feeling like, oh, finally, you know, all of this year's work, all of these years that I've been investing in my craft and in my work, it's going toward something now. I can really just focus on being an artist and creating as much as I can, because working in agency wasn't fun for me, you know, like to be pushing copy when I know I should be writing a song and singing it. It wasn't meant for me, but I was grateful that I was persistent in my plight towards being seen and being heard.
I gotta ask you with just that. How did that day feel when you walked in and you signed with the like? How did that feel once you went in, you saw the contract, and you got to sign those papers? Like, how did you walk out of there? I bet you felt like $1,000,000 walking out of there. Like, just great.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was such a long process for me. So I wasn't even, I think by the time it happened, I was just relieved that we had gotten to,
Just done. Like, oh
you know, because I spent
yeah.
so much time with my lawyer, and I was like, we need to make sure that I still own my music. We need to make sure that I am still in full control. We need to make sure that I still have a say when it comes to the journey, and who I want to become. I don't want to be molded and shaped into something I'm not, you know. So I think by the time we signed, it was just it was a relief, you know. It felt like finally I can really like I can breathe easily now and let go of the worry and concern of how I'm going to create projects or how I'm going to create the music I want to create. I can just really and truly be an artist and create full time. You know, that can be my job, and I can really focus on that fully and not be worried about my financial security. And I mean the journey even with the label was up and down, but it was a great learning lesson for me.
That's awesome. I mean, it's kind of like, I guess it's even better though, because you didn't go in, like, in my mind, I would think I wouldn't even be really worried about the entire day. I would be sitting there like, oh my God, I'm getting signed like right now and stuff. But you actually went in and you were thinking about what you needed to do. You wanted to be your own voice. You didn't want to be molded, like you said, into something that you're not. And that right there, that's mad props to you, man. That shows that you at least know what you want to be and where you are trying to go with yourself, and not let anybody try to like mold you in any way. So that kind of brings me into, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. I just think for me, I've seen so many stories about people getting into deals. Sorry for my friend.
Hey, no worries.
I've really heard too many stories, and I didn't want to be that person, you know, because I think sometimes we can either learn by making mistakes or from other people's mistakes, you know. So I wasn't trying to go touch the stove because I'd seen people getting burned already. So I was trying to avoid that stove, and really do it kind of the right way. Yeah. So I just think we're educated, and we have the privilege of information now. So why not use it?
Wise words, my friend. Wise words. So that kind of brings me into you've got your new single out, or not out yet, coming out September 4th with Panther. And I kind of want to go into it. I got a little sneak peek of it, and I think people are going to really like it. I think they are. I like it already. I think it's great. What kind of went into making Panther, and what were maybe some of the influences into it and stuff like that?
Yeah. The Panther story is a funny one for me. You know?
Okay.
The reason why the song is called Panther is because I was coming back from the club in a black Jaguar, and I was really regretting all the decisions I'd made.
Oh, gee.
So I kind of like started like thinking of a song in my head, and as we were going home, I was just like, I'm just tired of this, you know. And I got home and I started to write the song, talking about just kind of that exhaustion with keeping up appearances and seeking love in places that are not necessarily filled with love. I'd been going out a lot. I just had a breakup, and I think this is like the thing for a lot of young people is that like we'll just kind of like start whiling, you know, like going out a lot with your friends, and you're drinking a lot and you're partying a lot, just kind of trying to fill that void, and that's what Panther's about. You know. I was really tired of trying to fill up the void. And it's the moment for me when I just kind of look around my surroundings and I'm like, what am I doing here? You know, why are we still trying to do this? You know, I just don't want to, I don't want to be messed up in this kind of way again. I think that healing's important. But it's kind of wrapped around in a really like pop, really kind of tune that really, I don't know, man. Like it's just me being honest. Because the first few lyrics are like, "We've been here since yesterday. Love search and light display. Club rides just nauseate, shuts down, but we still complain, you know, which just speaks to kind of the energy that there is that like I'm searching for love in these dark spaces with these light strobes, still taking shots, but I'm gonna complain later, like, why did we have a shot? I didn't need that shot, you know? But then in the chorus, I really just kind of go into it, and there's an honesty of just saying, you know, I still feel the heartache. I'm messed up on champagne, but yeah, I need it's just kind of me having a moment in the mirror and saying, man, like, you're still quite heartbroken, and the shot and the champagne is not gonna help.
No, I know from known experience, sadly. Oh
I
man.
just told you on some level, man, on some level.
I mean, I feel like with you have to find the line, right? I feel like you at your younger ages, at some point, that's what that's for. Find the line. Don't try to go too far past that.
Yeah.
But so, I'm sorry, man. That's hilarious. You got a lot of dude. You've got a lot of wise like little lessons here in this, man. You're killing it, man. Like, shoot, man. All right. Well, I gotta talk about this award you got. This next artist of 2020 from Deserts, and how did that feel getting that award, especially it being 2020 and being the so-called next artist? Like, how was that?
Crazy for me, like to really be looked at in South Africa and considered as that artist that the platform Jesus sees as the next kind of act that's going to really shake the world in some kind of way. It's exciting as well because that comes with a great amount of support, and they do have a huge footprint in France and in a lot of the European countries. And just coming from South Africa and being afforded that opportunity and that space, it just means so much to me, man. Because when I was creating the album, which comes out just soon after the single that we're releasing, when I started creating the album, my intention was for it always to be a project that can be consumed globally and not just in South Africa. I worked with a lot of incredible producers in London and in South Africa for that main purpose, to really create quality music that transcends our space and hopefully the time that we exist in. Hopefully the music is classic enough to last forever, you know. So yeah, so it means a lot to me, man. It's a great opportunity, but I'm incredibly grateful for it.
I mean, what? I mean, I can't. It's great. Like, I feel like, I mean, you just seem like such a chill dude, man. You seem like a guy that just wants to hang out and like now you've got this like sweet award. Like I don't know, man. You're a really cool guy, man. I just gotta say that.
Thank you, man.
But
I really try to chill. I really try to keep chill, man. Like I spend a lot of time with family, and like I'm really like the type of guy who I spend a lot of time with just my family and people who ground me. But I think that just being able to reflect in life is important because that's when we learn the most, and that's how I create music. You know, a lot of the music is retrospective. I kind of will journal down things as they happen, but I won't really write the songs then because I sometimes feel like when you're in the moment, you struggle to have perspective of what's really going on holistically. And I think once you're out of it, you start to see it for the truth of it. And I think that's what the music's about, you know, like really reflecting on life in a holistic kind of way. And I try to make those reflections really authentic to their space and time, you know, like with Panther. Um, as much as I'm expressing like this regret and just an honesty about knowing that I am still heartbroken. The sound of it is still quite influenced by the club, you know, and very influenced by the music that I heard on the ride back home, because I wanted it to be authentic to that experience. So I wanted to put the listener back in that car ride with me. But the words, I wanted the words to be, I wanted the words to really reflect um, knowing better and having passed that place in my life.
Dude, you are blowing me away, man. You are such a smart, wise guy, dude. You've given so many lessons in this little interview. I'm blown away, dude. You are easily one of the top-notch interviews I've had. Like, dude, you got such a chill, positive vibe. You got like this sweet swagger with this little jacket you got on, man. But
I've got some art.
I didn't even see the shirt, dude. What's it say? What's it say?
Because now you see me.
Now you see. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Oh. Well, my last question will be, what does the future hold for Lenga Mavuso?
So we're really gearing up to release this debut album, and I'm excited to really share it with
That's September 25th, correct?
September 25th is the album date. 4th of September, we have Panther coming out. I'm really excited, man. We're finishing some of the visuals for the project. And for me, as soon as it's out, I'm kind of going to be done with it, because I've lived with it for the past 3 years.
Yeah, you've been working on it.
Really, yeah, I've been working on it, like living on a flight, you know. I'd be in London for a month, and I'd be in Cape Town for like a few weeks recording, and I'd be back in Johannesburg working and gigging, and I'd be doing the same thing over and over again. And I really lived through this album, and for me, it really belongs to the people who open up their hearts to it now. I'm excited to kind of start moving on and writing the next project. So I'm excited to start working on a new project. I'm excited to release a lot of this music and all the visuals that are coming with it. Yeah, I've done some collabs, some exciting collabs that are coming up. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say. Okay, I won't say, but some South African and some British artists. Yeah, it's exciting, really exciting.
Well, man, it's been awesome. I want to thank you personally, and I'm honored to have interviewed you for this. I'm glad you got to sit down with us, and you give up such positive vibes. Got this swagger to you, man. Like, I hope we can keep in touch. And honestly, I really hope if one day maybe we swung through South Africa, maybe you'd show me the ropes, man.
Jesse, I can't hear you anymore. I think my internet
What?
is. Oh, you're back.
You're back? Okay. All right. Sweet. Okay. Well, I'll just repeat that. I was just saying that I'm really glad we got to sit down here and have the interview with you. I really hope we can keep in touch. You seem like such a chill dude, like such a laid back guy, really, really wise guy, honestly. Not in a bad way. But if we ever swing through South Africa, man, you got to show me the ropes. Like, you got to let me know.
Hit me up.
Hey, don't. I'll keep you to that, man, because I'm telling you, we're going.
I'm very
As long as you ain't switching on me, then I'll hit you up.
Hit me up for real.
All right, man. Well, thanks again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And congrats on the new album coming out and everything, man.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Take it easy.